Buddy, we are doing our pick'ems with Underdog. Remember to use promo code nonsense. You are running out of time. This is the last weekend to do it. Use promo code nonsense and you get your $25 for your $10 deposit. You can play along with us. We are doing pick'ems over unders over on Underdog now that best ball season is officially dead. R.I.P. It was a good run. We had a good run with best ball season. But I, of course, am Steve Bonham at @nonsense_Steve. I am joined by our sports betting team, Mason Cameron, Vishal Gupta. Mason, first, how you doing?
I'm good. Football's back. Life is good. This has to be the best time of the year. This is a degenerate's Christmas, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Christmas talk today. A lot of blasphemy going on the internet, but that's okay. That's all right. This is the degenerate show, so we're good with that. We're fine with it here. We like it.
We approve of it. We prefer it, in fact.
And Mason, you've been on a couple of the shows throughout the summer, but Vishal, I believe this is going to be your debut, right? On
yes,
anything
it is.
here.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Welcome
Thank
aboard,
you.
sir.
Glad
Vishal was with us for, what is this, year 3 for you now?
Year three, yep.
Year 3. And then last year, of course, we were extremely excited and proud. You were at the top of the list there, despite what you want to say is mathematical errors. We'll take it. We love mathematical errors here at Important
Whatever
Nonsense.
it takes to get to the top of those lists, I'll take it.
We call
That's
that
right.
a hook.
Yes. That's how we bring them back. But we're going to go through our pick'ems. So if you're unfamiliar with the system, basically it's over unders. We are going to bet $5 on each card and then 3-person parlay on each one. So you have the possibility to win $30 if you hit on your 3 scenarios. So we're going to start with Vishal. Vishal, who are your 3 guys for this week?
So my first guy is going to be Calvin Ridley. I'm going to take the over on 89.5 receiving yards. It's a great matchup against the Philly defense that's just not going to be very good this year. They do have Darius Slay, but, I mean, he just hasn't been quite what he was when he was with Detroit, and they don't really have anybody behind him. I mean, they have Steven Nelson and a bunch of, backups who are just not going to be able to cover Calvin Ridley. This is a guy who averaged over 90 receiving yards per game last year, and that's with Julio Jones for a part of the season.
Right.
Julio is gone. It's just going to be all Calvin all day. Pitts will be good, but he's still a rookie. I just expect big things from Calvin Ridley. This is a great matchup, so I'll take over 89.5 receiving yards. Second pick, I'll go over 85.5 receiving yards for Justin Jefferson, who also has probably the best matchup of the week. I mean, he's going up against an awful Bengals defense that's going to be without their top cornerback and Trey Waynes. They're starting a bunch of guys like Eli Apple and some other guys I don't even know. They're just going to demolish this defense. It's going to be whatever Vikings offensive players you can take this week, take them, because it's going to be a lot of points. It's going to be very easy for them. So I'll take over 85.5 receiving yards for Justin Jefferson. And then I'll finish it off by taking under 15.5 fantasy points for Daniel Jones. He's going up against an incredible Broncos defense, which I think could have the potential to be the number 1 defense in the league this year with their amount of talent they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally out on the Giants this year. I mean, Galladay is hurt. Barkley is hurt. The reports out of training camp for Andrew Thomas this year were terrible. It sounds like he's just a disaster at left tackle. I don't know how this offensive line is going to protect Daniel Jones at all. I see multiple turnovers and just a really, really bad game for this offense in general this weekend.
Go Broncos. Totally see it. I agree with you too about the Vikings. I was this close to taking the Adam Thielen over 5 receptions. That's right on that line.
I think we all might have tempted with that one.
Sure. Last season, Adam Thielen averaged 5 receptions a game. Mm-hmm. So that's right on that borderline. And he had 6 games of the 15 where he went over 5. And when he went over 5, he went way over.
8, 9, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he had 1 instance where he hit 4, and then everything else was 2 or 3. And for the most part, it was against really good defenses. But he had 1 bad game against Detroit. And I was like, I don't know. It's close. It's right there. But yeah, I agree. Anybody against that Bengals D, absolutely. I love firing that up. All right, Mason, what do you got? I got your card here. There we go.
So I can start over with kind of the piggyback on that Minnesota-Cincinnati game. I'll just start with Joe Mixon here.
Yeah.
To lean into that, I think that the Minnesota offense is obviously really good. And the Cincinnati the Cincinnati offense is going to have to keep up with them because the defense is just horrible. They're going to just let up all these points. And so in order for them to just stay in this game, they're going to need to push the ball. And even when the game gets out of hand, they're still going to be able to account for Joe Mixon. So when we get in an early game situation, they're going to want to lean on Joe for the running, especially because Joe Burrow is getting off that knee surgery. They don't want to, throw him to the wolves too quickly.
Yep.
So he's obviously going to be a focal point of the offense early. But when the game gets away late is when it's important because he's still going to be part of the script for them. So that's why it's nice to have this over 91.5 rushing and receiving yards because no matter how the game goes, you're covered for it. It's a nice number because the Minnesota D themselves, even though we think of them as like this Zimmer defense and they're, excellent year to year, last year they were atrocious. They were among one of the worst defenses in the NFL versus running backs. They gave up over 145 yards per game to backs. I think that this is a nice number for Joe, even if it might seem high on the surface compared to some other backs out there.
Sure.
Secondly, we'll just start back at the top. I've got Devonta Smith. So the Slim Reaper, I think, can really do some stuff. We talked about this earlier when Vishal brought up the Philly defense in the Atlanta game. Again, Atlanta is good on offense. Philly is really bad on defense. This game could get away from Philly where they're going to need to throw the ball. And who else do they really have there to throw the ball to besides Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, I was going to say Dallas Goedert, and that's
right.
You got Rager, maybe Rager, but I think 4 receptions is a real conservative number in a game that should absolutely be a shootout. So
right, yeah, absolutely. And this Atlanta defense was horrible last year. 3rd worst in receptions, worst in yards, 5th worst in touchdowns. Like they just let wide receivers do whatever they want to them. So I think that what you see, like it might be a little risky because he's a rookie, but I think that Devontae has the stuff to get these 4 receptions. And I mean, even significantly higher than that.
Right.
And then finally, Vishal's probably going to, disown me for this one. But Herbert, I have Herbert under 20.45 fantasy points this week. And the idea behind that is I agree. Herbert is poised for a big year. I think that he can, take that step forward and be the quarterback that we saw last year consistently. But I don't think it starts this week.
Yep.
The idea is that the Washington defense is just tough for any passer.
They're very good.
They're very, very good against passers. Let's see. So they were top 3 in nearly every category: yards per attempt, completion percentage, passer rating, touchdown passes, et cetera. Yeah. The list goes on. So that's a tough draw for any quarterback, let alone a young one that is traveling across country. That's the big thing that people don't realize when they look at a lot of these lines. They just see home, away, yada, yada. But Justin Herbert's traveling literally the entire country, and that's always hard on any team, especially to start the season.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting too if Austin Eckler plays or not.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he doesn't play.
Yeah. It's going to put a lot of pressure on that passing game because, again, it's one of those things where that defense is good enough that they can shut you down regardless of what your game plan is. But if they know there's no Austin Eckler, I 100% am saying, yeah, I dare you to beat me with Justin Jackson. You go right ahead and try to do it because you're not going to beat me through the air. So I can 100% see that happening. All right, on my card, here's what I got. I went with a lot of love for my guys. First of all, starting at the top, Zack Moss, 28.5 rush yards. This feels like a punk. I feel like this can't be real. I don't understand how this is the line that they set on this. 37 yards per game last season was what Zack Moss averaged anyway. And that's when he was splitting the carries with Devin Singletary as a rookie. Now he has become the clear-cut number 1 back on that team. It is not remotely close. We have seen that throughout the entire offseason and through all the reports we've gotten. In any game last year, when he had at least 10 rush attempts, he averaged 65.5 yards per game. So I think this is way over. I think this number is egregiously low. And this is a slam dunk. Same thing for Myles Gaskin. I've got Myles Gaskin hitting the over because, once again, they hit like right on for total yards for some reason. 67.5 total yards. Last year, Myles Gaskin, in the 10 games he played, averaged 97 yards per game. So I'm not understanding where you're getting 67.5 from. That doesn't make any kind of sense. He hit over 67 yards in 70% of the games that he played last season. So that to me is an easy smash. And of course, my guy, the most hated quarterback for no apparent reason on the slate every single week, Jalen Hurts, 283.5 total yards against Atlanta's defense. In his 3 full starts last season, he averaged 282.3 passing yards, just passing yards. So you're telling me that based on his average, he needs to get 2 rushing yards to hit the over against Atlanta. Yeah, I think he should be able to do that, barring some kind of injury or heinous thing going sideways.
I think you're forgetting about the Gardner Minshew package that's obviously coming. First half of the game that's going to take up all those yards.
I feel like against Atlanta's defense, Gardner Minshew could play the second half, and I'd still be comfortable with that over for Jalen Hurts. I think that's going to be pretty easy. So there you go. So that's what we've got from the 3 of us. So now I am going to throw up what we've got here for the entire week. So those are our picks. Those are our favorites this week from everybody that we've got here. I've got $5 in our queue to bet on our locks. So we're going to start with Vishal. Vishal, of the 3 guys that you picked on your card, what is your lock of this week?
My lock's going to be Justin Jefferson. Again, the matchup is just too good. A lot of yards, lots of points. I'll take Justin Jefferson over 85.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, and like I said, I 100% agree with the logic behind it. I was so close with Thielen, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Mason, how about you?
I think that I was leaning towards Mixon, but I think I'm going to swap here. I'm going Devonta Smith. I think that we really juiced him up. So I think that we're going to go ahead and ride these coattails here. Yeah,
we kind of talked about it a little bit. Like, I think we're going to ride the stack here because I think, like I said, Hurts, that's 100% a dunk to me. I think that the 2 running backs I picked out there will hit the over for sure. Again, we're all kind of just guessing based on last year's defenses, last year's numbers, and last year's averages. But at the same time, in the instance of Adam Thielen, right? Like, he only hit the over 6 times, and that 5 receptions a game was right at his average. So I'm not understanding how you can have a guy like Gaskin be 30 yards below what his average was last year in total yards, and that's the line. Or Moss, who again 10 yards below his average last season, when I think he's going to have a bigger role this year. And in the games when he had larger roles, that's 40 yards under the average. So I think either one of those should be very good. And I think for sure, like I said, Hurts, we've seen when he is the starter, when he's let loose, the guy is a monster for fantasy production, and that defense is atrocious. Like, that is just going to be a full-on shootout against Atlanta, and it's going to be 40 points on either side. So I'm good with both of those.
And how about the disrespect by Underdog for making Hurts the only line for yards? All the rest of the quarterbacks had points, but they were like, I think we're just going to go ahead and pigeonhole him here.
It's the week 1 thing too, right? Like, as we go through the season, like, the lines will get smarter too, but we've done all this all summer. I think this is our best shot to kind of take advantage of the board here. And I feel pretty good about the lineup that we've got set. So there you go. Those are our locks of the week. Justin Jefferson to hit the over at 85.5. Devonta Smith, yes, I will confirm, to hit the over on 4 receptions, and Jalen Hurts to hit the over on 283.5 total yards. I will share that out on our social media. You can play along with us. Again, promo code nonsense on Underdog. If you're not already signed up, it'll get you a free $25 through the end of the weekend. So make sure you do that. And if you haven't already signed up, head over to our Twitter page. It's the pinned tweet there. It's the pinned tweet on mine as well. Sign up for the DraftKings League. Get in there and play some DFS with us. So thank you, boys. This was fun. We will do these pick'ems every week, hopefully at this halftime. I feel like this worked out. I feel like this was
a good time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. So we'll let you all get back to the second half. And until next week, everybody, just keep up the nonsense out there.
Sayonara.
Thanks, guys.